How to stop procrastinating, tips and techniques for overcoming procrastination. Procrastination is the act of unnecessarily postponing decisions or actions. It's a common problem, which can cause many issues, like missed opportunities and increased stress. Now that you're here, you're probably struggling with procrastination, or are trying to help someone who is. You've probably also tried to overcome procrastination before, and found it hard to do so. This guide is a definitive source on how to stop procrastinating, which will help you finally solve this problem. It's based on hundreds of scientific research papers and contains a systematic approach you can use to overcome procrastination, together with a list of anti-procrastination techniques, and tips for using them effectively. How to stop procrastinating. To stop procrastinating, it is essential to identify the smallest possible step you can take to make progress toward your goals, and try to start with just that tiny step while giving yourself permission to make mistakes during the attempt. For example, if you need to write an essay, you can decide to start by writing just a single word, while accepting that it won't be perfect, and might even be quite bad at first. In addition, you can make it easier for yourself to get started first. For example, by preparing your tools without yet trying to start working. And also make it harder to procrastinate, for example by removing distractions from your environment. To overcome procrastination in the long term, do the following steps. 1. Set specific and realistic goals. For example, if you want to start exercising, a good goal might be to be able to run a full mile by the end of the month. While bad goals might be, do some running, which is unspecific, and run a marathon by the end of the month is unrealistic. 2. Assess your procrastination. First, identify cases in which you delay unnecessarily, to figure out what exactly you procrastinate on, like studying, and how you do it, let's say by browsing social media. Then, think about those situations to also figure out where and when you procrastinate, could be at home or the library, on starting or finishing tasks, in the morning or evening. Figure out why you procrastinate. It might be due to perfectionism, fear, anxiety, depression, sensation seeking, or abstract goals. 3. Create an action plan. It should involve using relevant anti-procrastination techniques, which account for the goals that you set and the nature of your procrastination problem. 4. Implement your plan. Make sure to reflect on your progress and refine your approach, primarily by figuring out which techniques work for you and how you can implement them most effectively. Imperfect action is generally better than no action at all. You'll benefit more from trying to do just a bit, than from getting stuck doing nothing at all. Also, the longer you delay, the more likely you are to do nothing, so you should start right then. While understanding that you'll probably get some things wrong at first, you'll be able to improve your approach over time. If you feel overwhelmed, just start by committing yourself to a tiny step until you feel ready to do more. Anti-procrastination techniques. 1. Break tasks into manageable steps. For example, if you need to write a paper, you can break this down into steps like choosing a topic, finding sources, and writing the introduction. This unpacking technique can have various benefits, including helping you plan your work and dealing with a large task to make you feel less overwhelmed. Remind yourself that the way to eat an elephant is to make one bite at a time. And this is similar to handling big projects using a step-by-step approach. 2. Commit to a tiny first step. You may sit down and plan to only write a single sentence on your thesis, or go to the gym intending to work out for only a few minutes. You can use various criteria to decide what's considered a tiny step. Two popular ones are the 2-minute rule and the 5-minute rule, which involves committing to the specified amounts of time to when you should start again after a few minutes of break. 3. Give yourself permission to make mistakes. If you're writing a paper, accept that your work won't be perfect, especially when it comes to the first draft, and remember that you can always revise your writing afterward. This can be particularly beneficial if your procrastination is driven by perfectionism. In this case, You should also make sure to set reasonable goals and standards for yourself, ones that are attainable and good enough. 4. Make it easier to decide. Improve your decision-making environment by removing distractions. Rely on your intuition and aim to make decisions that are good enough rather than perfect. Use a structured approach to decision-making and eliminate weak options from your available choices. Create decision pairs, by comparing only 2 options at a time rather than multiple ones. Get feedback from someone else, and potentially ask them to recommend. You can also use a random tool, which a simple coin flip would do. Doing this is especially important if you procrastinate primarily due to indecisiveness. 5. Make it easier to do things. If you'll need to work on a document later, you can leave it open on your computer, so it will be immediately available when you start working. Essentially, you should make it as easy as possible to start and keep doing what you should be doing, primarily by removing any friction that might hinder you. 6. Make tasks more enjoyable. Let's say you need to clean the house or tidy and declutter things on your work desk. You can make this boring task more fun by listening to music while you do it and see how much you can get done in a 10-minute cleaning sprint. 7. Make it harder to procrastinate. Eliminate temptations by leaving your phone away for a while. Make temptations harder to choose by turning off the internet on your phone. Make temptations more unpleasant by putting a timer on your phone that makes an annoying alarm go off once your scheduled break is over. Associate negative consequences with temptations like not being able to eat your favorite snack if you touch your phone in the next hour or 2. 8. Delay before indulging your impulses. If you want to check your phone for notifications when you should be working, then make yourself limited for such action and set a specific time for a minute or 2, then get back to what is needed to be done. 9. Set deadlines. Deadlines should be appropriate, so they shouldn't give you too much or too little time. Concrete, so they should specify an exact point in time. Meaningful, so they should involve an effective incentive for abiding by them. You might benefit from setting intermediate deadlines, which correspond to specific steps that you need to complete along the path to your final goal. Deadlines can help avoid procrastination in various ways, making tasks feel more concrete and creating a sense of urgency. You should make sure that the deadlines are indeed helping you. And if they cause issues, like stress or added hurdles, then you might want to modify or avoid them. You should make sure that the deadlines are indeed helping you, and if they cause issues, like stress or added hurdles, then you might want to modify or avoid them. 10. Form implementation intentions. Implementation intentions are concrete plans regarding when, where, and how you'll pursue your goals. They primarily involve establishing the if-then rules, like if X happens, then I'll do Y. This describes how you'll overcome obstacles and temptations using goal-directed behavior to support your goal intentions. Good rules are often ones that you can apply automatically, which increases the likelihood that you'll use them. If you need to study without being distracted, you can decide that you will do so at the library while wearing noise-blocking headphones. You can also decide that if someone comes over and starts trying to talk, you'll respond by saying, "Sorry, we can chat later, but I really have to study right now." 11. Identify and address your fears. People often procrastinate because they're afraid of something, like failing or being criticized. If this might be the case for you, then you should think through your situation to figure out what you're afraid of. Then, you can use various techniques to address your fears. You can use self-distancing, by considering what advice you would give to a friend, if they were in your situation, or by talking to yourself using self-distanced language like "what should you do then?" Doing this can also help with other things, like creating your action plan. 12. Increase your motivation. Gamify your behavior. This involves incorporating elements from games, like competition with others and the accumulation of points, in other types of activities. If your goal is to have no 0 days, then you can give yourself a point for each day you achieve this and get a reward after every 10 points. Create streaks. Streaks are chains of days in a row on which you achieve your goals. You should track them in a way that's motivating and convenient. You can use a dedicated app, or the Seinfeld strategy by marking a big X in a calendar on each day you achieve your goals. Reward your accomplishments. You can take a short break to watch TV for every chapter that you read in preparation for a test. You can also find ways to make your progress feel more rewarding, like going over your to-do list at the end of each day, to feel good about how much you got done. Set immediate outcomes. You can eat a piece of candy as a reward for every task that you complete while working on a project. That's because the closer in time outcomes are, the more you care about them. Visualize your future self. If you're procrastinating on an assignment because its grade will only come in a few weeks, you can imagine your future self getting that grade. This episodic future thinking improves the connection between your present and future selves. To make you care more about your future self, the future consequences of your actions, and the perceived value of future outcomes. Decide whether to focus on outcomes or tasks. Sometimes, like when you need to complete an unpleasant task that will lead to a substantial reward, it may be better to have an outcome focus. Other times, like when thinking about an outcome stresses you, it may be better to have a process focus instead. By concentrating on the task, reflect on the value of your outcomes. Write down why an outcome that you are pursuing is important to you. Remind yourself of your goals. If you want good grades in order to get into a certain college, you can put a sticker with its logo on your laptop to remind you what you are working toward. Associate outcomes with tasks. You can write down how the task that you are working on will clearly lead to the outcome you're interested in. 13. Increase your energy. Listen to energizing music. Take a short break, and go outside to breathe some fresh air. Take a long break to ensure you get sufficient rest. Improve your lifestyle by eating better, exercising, and getting enough sleep. Minimize unnecessary energy drains. Doing this is especially important if you procrastinate primarily due to low energy because exhaustion is making it hard for you to exert self-control. 14. Improve your environment. A bad environment pushes you to procrastinate, while a good environment pushes you to act. Remove distractions and temptations. You can disconnect your phone from the internet or leave it in a different room. Make the environment more pleasant. Eliminate bad cues. You can move the icon of your favorite social media app away from your phone's home screen, so you won't see it every time you open your phone. Add good cues. You can put a sticky note on your favorite gaming platform, reminding you to finish your work before playing. Switch to a better environment. You may want to study in the library instead of your room, to separate the area where you work from the one where you rest. 15. Use social techniques. Emulate a role model. If you're procrastinating on a task because it's hard, ask yourself what a person you admire would do if they were in your situation, or pretend this person is watching you now. Have someone hold you accountable. You can ask a close friend to check on your progress once a week or find an accountability buddy to work with. Build a social support network. Such a network is comprised of people like friends and study partners, who can help you in various ways, like providing emotional support when you face your fears. 16. Use time management techniques. Use a to-do list. You can write down a list of upcoming tasks in a notebook or an app. Prioritize tasks. You can use the Ivy Lee method. At the end of each day, write down the tasks you want to complete tomorrow, ranked in order of importance. Similarly, you can use an Eisenhower matrix, by determining how important and how urgent your tasks are, and then use that to decide what to work on. Set reminders. You can put a sticky note next to your laptop if there's something you need to do tomorrow, or you can use an app to send you a notification when there's a task that you need to complete soon. Schedule work according to your productivity cycles. If you struggle to concentrate for an hour after lunch, then try to avoid scheduling work for that time or just do the easy ones. Alternatively, if you find it easier to concentrate on creative tasks in the morning, then try to schedule such tasks for that time. When doing this, you should often aim to reach a flow state, where you're completely immersed in the activity you're engaged in, and are consequently highly productive and unlikely to procrastinate. Establish consistent routines. Have a dedicated time each day when you work on a specific type of assignment, or a dedicated day each week when you do a specific chore. 17. Create starting rituals. You can use a countdown timer, or count from 1 to 5. Then go straight to work once you finish the count. This is sometimes called the 5-second rule. Alternatively, you can use other rituals, like clapping your hands once, listening to an energizing song, or going through some routine. You can condition yourself to use these rituals through easy tasks, which will make it more likely that you'll follow through on them with hard tasks. 18. Start with your best or worst tasks. Some people find it beneficial to start with their best first, which is the easiest or most fun task first, to increase their confidence or help them mentally get into work mode. And other people sometimes find it beneficial to start with their worst, which is the hardest or most unpleasant task, because this helps them get it out of the way quickly while they're fresh. 19. Immediately complete small tasks. It can sometimes be beneficial to complete small tasks as soon as you encounter them, because the motivation for them is still fresh, because scheduling them will require more work than just doing them right away, as this prevents them from piling up into something that feels overwhelming. 20. Deal with bottlenecks. A bottleneck is a task that's causing you to delay other tasks because you need it for bureaucratic approval or emotional closure. Bottlenecks can cause substantial issues, so you should prioritize dealing with them. You might also be able to do this by changing the situation so the task is no longer a bottleneck. 21. Switch between tasks. If you're stuck on a certain task, you can switch to a different task for a while, and return to the original one when you feel unstuck. This can involve procrastinating productively on the original task, by doing beneficial but less important things. If you should be studying for a test, you could procrastinate by doing homework instead, rather than browsing social media. You can even do this in a structured manner, by scheduling unimportant tasks that feel urgent and then using the desire to procrastinate on them as motivation to work on your original tasks. 22. Take a break. If you just finished writing a paper, and are now procrastinating on your computer, then rather than trying to force yourself to work on your next assignment, go to take a proper break in a different room for a few minutes. This can often be the most effective choice for your long-term productivity and well-being, for instance, if it's crucial in order to let you clear your head and recharge mentally. 23. Improve your emotion regulation. Learning to regulate emotions better can help you avoid procrastination, primarily by improving your ability to cope with the presence of negative emotions and the absence of positive ones. Acknowledge the presence of negative emotions, while reminding yourself of your mental toughness and commitment to finishing your work. 24. Develop self-efficacy and self-compassion. Self-efficacy is your belief in your ability to perform the actions needed to achieve your goals, which is important in order to avoid procrastinating. You can increase your self-efficacy using various techniques, like reflecting on your successes and identifying strategies you can use to achieve your goals. While self-compassion involves extending sympathy to yourself, particularly when you struggle or suffer. To increase your self-compassion, you can remind yourself that everyone struggles and makes mistakes. Forgive yourself for past procrastination and think that messing up doesn't mean that you'll never change. Think about how you would help a friend in a similar situation. Practice mindfulness by paying attention to yourself and your environment as they are in the present moment, while accepting your thoughts and emotions in a non-reactive and non-judgmental manner. 25. Treat underlying conditions. Remember that you don't need to get it perfect. For now, the important thing is to just get started. Later, you can refine your approach, by adding goals and techniques. The longer you wait, the less likely you are to act on what you've learned, so start now, instead of telling yourself you'll do it later. Be yourself. Be you.